July 2025. Russian submarines prowl the North Atlantic. Chinese warships circle Taiwan. And in a secure briefing room in Whitehall, Britain's top military commanders are asking one terrifying question. Are we ready for World War III? The answer might shock you. Right now, as you watch this video, the British Army has just 76,000 active soldiers. Russia, they have 1.3 million. We have around 220 tanks. They have 5,750. Our entire air force could fit inside a single Russian airbase. But here's what the politicians don't want you to know. Britain is quietly preparing for something that hasn't happened in 80 years. Total war with a nuclear superpower. This is a classified reality of Britain's military readiness. The weapons we're building in secret, the soldiers we're training for the unthinkable, and why our top generals are warning we have just 5 years to get ready. Welcome back to the war. February 24th, 2022. Russia rolls into Ukraine. Within hours, every NATO capital is asking the same question. What if we're next? In London, the answer was terrifying. Britain's military had spent 20 years fighting insurgents in Afghanistan and Iraq. We were experts at counter-terrorism. But fighting Russia? That's a completely different war. General Sir Patrick Sanders, head of the British Army, didn't mince his words. He told Parliament there was a realistic possibility of war with Russia within 5 years. Not decades, 5 years. But here's the question that should keep you awake at night. If war came tomorrow, could Britain actually fight? The numbers are brutal. Russia outguns us 7-1 in tanks, 15-1 in artillery. Their defensive budget is 126 billion. Ours is 71 billion. On paper, it's not even close. But numbers don't tell the whole story, because Britain has something Russia doesn't, and it might just save us. So what is it? I'll reveal that in a moment, but first you need to understand just how underprepared we really are. Here is what Ukraine taught us about modern warfare. Artillery wins battles, and Britain has almost none. Remember those AS-90 self-propelled guns, our main artillery? We sent nearly all of them to Ukraine. We literally gave away our ability to fight an artillery war. Our ammunition factories closed decades ago. A single 155mm shell now costs £3,160. At wartime consumption rates, we'd run out of ammunition in days, not months. But it gets worse. Our main battle tank, the Challenger 2, hasn't been produced since April 2002. We're upgrading just 148 of them to Challenger 3 standard. If we lost 50 tanks in the first week of fighting, entirely possible against Russia, we'd have no way to replace them. The Ajax armoured vehicle programme, 7 years late and billions over budget. The Warrior infantry fighting vehicle, production stopped nearly 30 years ago and spare parts running out. This is the British Army that would face the largest military in Europe. But here is where the story takes an unexpected turn. Because while Russia has been building tanks, Britain has been building something far more dangerous. May 2025. Prime Minister Keir Starmer stands up in Parliament and announces the biggest military spending increase since the Cold War. £13.4 billion extra per year. Defence spending rising to 2.5 by GDP by 2027, with plans for 3% by 2030. This isn't just about money. This is about a complete transformation of how Britain fights wars. The new strategy? Only 20% of our future military will be traditional soldiers and equipment. 40% will be reusable systems like drones, robots and autonomous weapons. And 40% will be single-use munitions, loitering weapons that can strike targets hundreds of miles away. We're not trying to match Russia tank for tank. We're building a military that makes their tanks irrelevant. The centrepiece? Up to 12 new nuclear-powered attack submarines under the AUKUS programme. These aren't just submarines, they're underwater fortresses that can launch cruise missiles from thousands of miles away. But submarines take decades to build. The question is, what do we have right now? The answer involves a secret deployment that's happening as we speak. Before I reveal Britain's secret weapon, I want to thank today's sponsor, you, the Legacy of War community that makes these deep dive investigations possible. If you're fascinated and want to support the channel, our awesome new t-shirt and membership programs. Now back to the action. January 2025, while you were watching Netflix, 2,600 British soldiers and 730 vehicles quietly deployed to Romania and Bulgaria. This wasn't an exercise. This was NATO's new Allied Reaction Force, positioned directly on Russia's doorstep. Admiral Sir Tony Radakin, Britain's top military commander, told Parliament in June, "We are ready to fight and can face down the threats of Russia." But is this true? Here, what we actually have right now. 76,000 regular soldiers, backed by 26,500 reserves. Our 220 Challenger 2 tanks are among the best in the world, although several have been destroyed in Ukraine. Our Type 45 destroyers can track and destroy ballistic missiles. Our F-35 stealth fighters can penetrate Russian air defences. Quality over quantity. But in a war of attrition, does quality matter? Ukraine is burning through 6,000 artillery shells per day. At that rate, Britain's entire ammunition stockpile would last about 2 weeks. Russia produces more shells in a month than Britain has in total. This is the terrifying mathematics of modern warfare. But Britain has one ace up its sleeve that changes everything. Here is what Russia fears most about fighting Britain. We don't fight alone. Article 5 of the NATO Treaty means an attack on Britain triggers a response from 31 nations. That includes the United States, with 1.3 million active troops, 13,000 aircraft, and a defence budget larger than the next 10 countries combined. But it's more than just numbers. Britain is the intelligence hub of the Western world. GCHQ intercepts Russian communications. MI6 supposedly has agents inside the Kremlin. Our satellites track every Russian submarine. In a war with Russia, Britain wouldn't just be fighting, we'd be the nerve centre, coordinating the entire Western response. The new Strategic Defence Review makes this explicit. NATO first policy, with Britain leading European security. We're not trying to fight Russia alone. We're building the coalition that makes fighting us impossible. But here's the terrifying reality our leaders won't admit publicly. There's a window of vulnerability, and it's closing fast. General Saunders warned Parliament, "We have 5 years to get ready." Not because Russia will definitely attack in 5 years, but because that's how long it takes to build a modern military. Those 12 new submarines, they won't be ready until the late 2030s. The new munitions factories, 2027 at the earliest. Training thousands of new soldiers, at least 3 years. Russia knows this. They're watching our rearmament programme and calculating whether to act before we're ready. The next 5 years are the most dangerous period for Britain since 1940. We're strong enough to be a threat, but not yet strong enough to guarantee victory. This is why British forces are deployed to Eastern Europe right now. Not to fight Russia, but to make sure Putin knows that attacking NATO means fighting Britain immediately, before we're fully rearmed. It's a calculated gamble. Show strength while building strength. But what if Putin calls our bluff? So, is Britain ready for war with Russia? The honest answer is not yet, but we're getting there. Right now, in a conventional war, Russia would have significant advantages in numbers and firepower, but they'd be fighting not just Britain, but the entire NATO alliance. And modern warfare isn't just about tanks and artillery, it's about intelligence, technology, and industrial capability. Britain is good at all three. The real question isn't whether we can fight Russia, it's whether we can deter them long enough to complete our military transformation. The next 5 years will determine the answer. One thing is certain, Britain is preparing for a type of warfare we haven't seen since World War II. Total war between nuclear superpowers, and the outcome will reshape the world order for the next century.
When the bangs go off.
The parallels to 1939 are chilling. A democratic nation rearming in the face of an aggressive dictatorship. The question is, will we be ready in time? If this analysis of Britain's military readiness fascinates you, you need to watch our investigation into how Singapore fell in just 7 days. Another story of an impregnable fortress that wasn't ready for the war it actually had to fight. Hi soldiers, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and leave your thoughts in the comments, and check out our awesome new t-shirt and membership programs. And don't forget to check back in again soon. That's an order.